Hi, this is a demo of an automated data warehouse build using our software, StakGen. We are a software house with expertise in business intelligence, data protection, and software automation. We have built StakGen to help clients deliver GDPR-aligned data warehouse and business intelligence solutions in a fraction of the time when compared to traditional manual development. StakGen is a self-contained BI team with its own architect, designer, and developer. For this demo, we're using generated data for a fictitious international law firm with multiple practice sites. So data is entered daily into the practice management system, consisting of lawyer time and billing information. And the problem is that the data managers have to manually create Excel reports for the practice directors each month, with no automation process. And this can be very time consuming. Not only do they have to extract the information, but they might have to clean the data as well. The solution then is to load and integrate the practice management system data into a strategic data warehouse. And that leads to another problem. Who's going to do the work? The development team are already overwhelmed with ad hoc and strategic projects. The solution is to use an automated data warehouse build with StakGen, thus allowing business as usual to continue without heavily impacting time and resources, whilst delivering a more efficient process to the client. This demonstration is using a real-time data warehouse build based on client requirements, although the data loading times have been truncated. This is the high-level data model for the law firm, and the red box in the middle is the target information that the client requires from the data. In this case, it's turnover. Each arm represents the context that they want to be able to drill into the turnover data. So you have client, matter, which relates to different types of cases, date, practice stream, grade, which relates to the grade level of the lawyers in the firm, and geography. And here is a more detailed diagram of the data model. And this is StakGen. So, first of all, I am going to connect to the server where the PMS data is held. And that's on a database called Source Legal. And this is to extract client information. And with this click, I'm going to select all available client information. Then I'm going to select the server that the data warehouse lives in. And now when I click this button, this allows the code to be written that will allow the data to be stored when it's loaded from the PMS into the data warehouse. And that's all the code written. The beauty of automation. So next I'm going to do the data load job, which is the SSIS package. This will extract data from the PMS and load it into the data warehouse. On your right you will see these hieroglyphs, and they're basically for tracking purposes so that you know where you're at during the process. And with the click of this button, it will create the load job. And that's done. So now I'm just going to speed up the process and go through everything at a much faster pace and finish off all the other data sets. So this one's countries and regions, because obviously we're on client time here. And I want to point out that whenever we press that button to write the code, and that green bar shoots across the screen at the bottom, that's the equivalent of about 50 to 100 lines of code being written in an instant. And that data load button that we've just pressed That also it saves you about half a day to a day of development time, because if you include testing with it. So you can see how quickly we're getting this job done. It's literally in a matter of clicks. And finally, I'm going to select the data set for time 2, and that's basically a row for every unit of time that's billed by a lawyer to the client. And here I'm going to select all for all the hours worked: time, entry date, practice stream, client, country and grade. So for all those different sections of time. And here I'm going to select no personal data, because there's no personal information here. And if I click generate audit system, you can see that that hieroglyph has gone from red to green, which means that it's turned on. And this basically means that anytime the data is read from the data warehouse with regards to the data process here today, there will be an audit trail written so that you can determine who, when, and what data was accessed and by whom. And building the storage tables and the data load job. There we go. And as you can see, for the client, that's all the data sets now. So now I'm going to G, which stands for the location for the generated data load job, or SSIS packages. And the next step is to copy these packages. So we're going to copy these and then go to a pre-built SSIS solution here on, and then I'm going to right click and paste the packages into the solution. Then after I paste them, then one by one I will open the packages and execute each of the packages to bring the data from the PMS into the data warehouse. Okay, so the first one is client data, and you'll see a little circle with a green tick after each step has been carried out, has been completed. First stage, second, really. Okay. Because I'm not building, I'm loading these packages, because I have to do these with each of the packages, that's countries, grades, matters, and all those packages. I'm going to, in editing, I'm going to cut this down to save time, because we know the process, we're just simply loading them. And then I will continue from where all the packages have been loaded. The next stage in this process is the dimensions configuration, and the source data for the dimension is in SQL Server. And it's held in this view. And anytime users request information from this table, I'm going to audit trail and now select a primary key for that table, which defines the uniqueness of the table. And that's the table built. And I will add and truncate the table and build an SSIS package to make it happen. Okay, and that's the job done. Now I'm going to build a dimension called country, and as you can see, it contains, let's show you, contains regions, I'm building an audit trail, record, and build table, and the key is country. There's the table built, and then I'm going to truncate and load. Okay, I'm going to continue with all the others and get the process done. The last one will be time, and that will take the longest amount of time. So I want to point out, just over 12 minutes into this build, we have now already built tables, views, and the data load jobs for each of these blue dimensions you see here. The next step in the build is to create the turnover fact table, which was in the middle, the red box in the middle of the diagram, and it's called fact time, and the source data is in the data warehouse called the new safe haven, and I'm calling the fact table time because it records hours worked, and the staging table is one that we built earlier. Then the load dimensions will be the 6 dimensions that time will be analyzed against, and those were also in the diagram. And now I'm setting up the relationships. So the columns that I'm selecting here are the business keys that are used to join the 2-dimension tables. And now I'm going to select the primary key that relates a dimension, and they're conveniently located at the top of the drop-down box. Now for each join, I'm going to stipulate a star join, so we have one level of dimension, which when we analyze a fact table, for example time, there will only be one level of dimension connected with that. And I'm going to select an alias for the dimension table. For clients, I'm going to put C, country CT, date DT, grade is a G, matter is an M, and practice stream is P. So after we've done this, StakGen will basically spin up the source SQL to populate the fact table. And the handy part is we can now add additional measures and derived measures like turnover, which will be hours worked multiplied by hourly rate, and we can do TPPH, turnover per partner hour, or actually we can change that to partner turnover. And so when the grade code is 9 or 10, then we have hours worked times an hourly rate, and if it isn't, then it's a 0. Then we can copy non-partner turnover, which would be lower than 9 or 10 grade code. And this will build a table using the best fit data types and an audit trail to capture any queries in the event of a breach. And now it's going to build an ETL package for this. Returning quickly to the high-level data model, we can see that we have now staged the data for all the data sets, built dimensional tables and load jobs, so for all 6 of the blue boxes there, and built a table for the red box in the middle, turnover, which also has an SSIS package to load that, and we're about 20 minutes into the build so far. So back at the staging table, we can see now that all the data has been loaded, and I'd just like to point out that I cut out the loading time because that actually took longer than the build itself. So we're going to go now to the file system, to Windows, and we're going to copy in the dimension fact packages, load jobs that have been generated from StakGen. Okay. And normally these would have been done by a developer or multiple developers. Then we're going to load the first client dimension, which contains client name and business domain and so on. And we're going to go through it and load up all the other data sets. So that would be region, countries, and date, grades, and matter. Fact time will take the longest to load, so I will probably cut that out. But before we go, we can see the auto-generated code and the part where we added our own coding for partner turnover. And when this gets kicked off, I'm just going to pause the video so we don't record the loading time, and we'll get back to development. We are at the end of the StakGen build, and as you can see, it's a powerful tool that has taken the time and manpower out of development. And we have the data warehouse built and loaded it with data from the PMS. And from now on, the StakGen data warehouse will automatically load from the PMS every evening, so all the data will be fresh and ready to be used. On top of the data warehouse that we just built with StakGen, we can now add the business intelligence dashboard so that the client can have a visual representation of their data. In this scenario, we have used Power BI but StakGen integrates well with all other dashboards on the market. What the dashboard allows the client to do is to access visual reports easily, and because data is uploaded every night automatically, the reports from their data dimensions will always be up to date. They can crunch high data volumes, cross-reference, analyze trends and patterns with much more agility. So, in our fictitious law firm client, they can now look at turnover according to its 6-dimensional categories and can navigate this dashboard via the drop-down options. Here, the map illustration shows the global turnover trends. The bubble graph on the right, with the sector key in the box below, shows the turnover related to the gearing, which is ratio of partner hours to non-partner hours. Looking at the musky pink bubble in the bottom right corner of the grid, the director will be able to see that they are billing for a lot of hours in the technology sector, but through their lower grade lawyers. Therefore, going forwards, a strategic decision to get more partners involved in technology cases may be executed. The delivery of the data warehouse and dashboard has lifted the task of manually interpreting data and presenting them in an Excel form by the data managers, and has provided a more efficient, up-to-date stream of data information to the directors. And all this was delivered quickly and without disruption to the daily business demands of the client. Thank you for watching our demo, and we hope it was interesting. For further information, please visit our website.